Hello guys and welcome back to ToribashTakeOVer. This is HXCVBQIMO or Hacks, and today we're going to be discussing a topic that was wrote to us in by our ToribashTakeOVer giveaway number 1 winner, Red Rebel 24. Red Rebel 24 asks, Hacks, can you show how you analyze your losses or your victories in order to become a better player? More specifically, your losses. Well, I absolutely can. I kind of talked about this originally in my first Wushu video, which is kind of one of my most liked videos, so I'm really going to spend a lot of time on this again, because apparently you guys are really receptive to it. So the first video I'm going to show is actually a victory, but I thought I really didn't deserve the win, and there's a lot to be gained from it. So I'm going to load this replay up. It is a Wushu 3 replay, a Wushu replay, against a player named Oddlove. If you don't know him, he was the old leader of Alpha. He's near a god belt with over a 72 or 73% win ratio. He is the epitome of what it takes to be a Tori legend. So he has always been my role model. He kind of popularized the clap move in Wushu. So what you're going to see here, let's see the play feature, competent against it, and I know that he has experience in it too. And I notice a lot of times I typically transition upwards. This is mainly so that I can protect my face region right here with my upward hands. However, I do have some options. I always can form a kick with one of these legs. I have movement abilities by extending a hip and contracting the hip. If I need to defend, I've got plenty of options there, bringing that knee in, contracting those abs, lowering that shoulder. And Oddlove does a very similar thing. He starts out with a clap. He kind of sidesteps a little bit here, and this is where I start making my first bad mistake. I am rushing a defensive position where he's already in place. So I'm not going to score any points. You guys can see the damage modifier points are 0 for any hand blocks. So coming into this, him sidestepping is the best move for him. He kind of completely averted the attack, and look at the points. He's got 11,202. So if I were to watch that and I were to try to do something better about it, then about frame 200, where I make my mistake, rather than going in, I should have set up for movement. I should have drop down to the ground, and I should have found a better way to approach the situation, because rushing into an already set defensive procedure is silly, and now you saw why. And I do this all the time to other players, which is why I feel very silly that it happened to me. So you see a simple comeback position. You'll notice that he stays low to the ground. He's a very low hold-all player, winning typically by defensive procedure, and is very, very rare to score more than 50,000 points on him in any mod. So I come in, and here's mistake 2. I am coming in essentially head first, and that is a huge deal. So what I could have abstractly learned from that experience is I'll look at how I came back and whether or not the position was actually very appropriate. So we'll come back to the comeback position. This is kind of the comeback position I was working off of. This part was fine. It was beyond that point, I over-rotated. I tried to do too much. I tried to fool him, and it didn't work out. Now notice he led with his head too, but due to his rotation and his momentum, his head was never in harm's range. So he scores even more points on me. And then I go in for the attack. Yes, technically he DQs here, but he really shouldn't have. He really could have been leading more heavily, and I would have lost a lot of time had he hit me upwards, because my momentum, I was traveling away from him. So that's what I like to do. I like to look at the game. I like to figure out, even if it's a win, I like to figure out what exactly went wrong, because every headshot that I offer to someone in Wushu is like basically feeding the game. You only get limited opportunities in games like this to score points, and when you feed someone such a huge opportunity to win, you're almost definitely not going to succeed. So the thing I would take away from this mainly isn't really the rush kick thing. I mean, I would kind of take note of never rush a defensive full stance, but more importantly, it was the comeback position. It traveled me towards him, sure, but once I got out of it, I really should have transitioned into something where I raised my shoulders up and led with my legs, rather than my upper body, torso, head, and all of that. So let's go into another game. I look at a mod like this. I wanted to see how you counter a shovel. And I actually have shown this replay before, but it's really important that we understand why I save a replay. Most of the time, 99% of the time, I do not save a replay because a replay is cool looking. I save a replay so I can grow as a player. So I asked this player here to shovel me. And the idea was I need to learn concretely how to always counter a shovel. So how do I do that? I pull him in, I extend the pecs, I raise the shoulders, and I contract the wrists. I extend the abs, and all of this kind of pulls me in close and gets me to the ground. Once I'm in the ground, if I haven't completely given him the best position, I feel very comfortable against shovels. So this is something that I can learn from positively. You can learn positively and negatively from your replays, and it's important that you save replays that make you feel like you've learned something. For instance, I used a similar learning experience when I was trying to play like Snudge, which is someone I plan to interview really soon because he is one of the absolute best current day Wushu players. So here we are with Snudge. He's opening up defensively. I'm opening up with the popularized, actually it's not very popular at all, but it is an odd love backwards helicopter opener which kind of transitions into a leg kick. See, this is a game where I believe that I win, but it's more important I'm trying to dissect what makes me a faster comebacker because Snudge is ridiculously fast at making comebacks. So what I noticed is that Snudge typically right bends his lumbar, or bends his lumbar the same direction that he rotates his chest. He almost always contracts his abs, he almost always contracts his neck, and he almost always raises his shoulders. I was trying to dissect, and he always contracts both of his glutes. I was trying to figure out why does he do this, and then I started to realize that this was a very optimal way to increase his speed and change direction. You can even start to see a little bit of it right now. In fact, the fact that you're not seeing a lot of it from Snudge is probably the reason why he lost. But most importantly, I gathered that this is the way that I wanted to become a better comebacker. Because coming back at very fast speeds is very important if you want to be a great player. So he actually won this. I don't know why I DQ'd, but this is very, very great to learn from. Because you can always dissect what you like about a certain player's play, try to replicate it in game, and that's exactly what I did. Here's another match. He opens with the rush. I open with the block. This is very runny, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but I can see right away Snudge taking the position, which he does almost all the time in his openers, doing his very noticeably quick comebacks, never really in any danger. It was a matter of luck that I got that foot block there, but I learned a lot, not from me doing anything in this game on my own, but rather because I particularly invested time in watching what he was doing as I traveled backwards. A lot of times if you're playing a really good player and you want to understand their movement, run from them when you have more points. I know that sounds kind of bad-mannered, but at least you'll force your opponent to show you how he moves, which is exactly what I want to dissect from Snudge, because if there's anything I want to learn from him, it's movement. So I'll go into another replay. Let's see. Oh yes, the Aikido stall. So basically, I came to a position in an Aikido game, and this is a loss, by the way. I came to a position in an Aikido game where I was losing by points, and I thought that I had him beat. But he stalled out the victory because he was in a tripod position, and because of where his grabs were, which he got the inside grab because he does kind of the dueler tactic where he does the contracted wrists, I could not score enough points and win. As hard as I flailed, I did not get enough points. So this was a learning experience. I need to figure out how on earth I am going to unheave this tripod. So what I would do is I would edit it. I would hit E to edit the current replay. And obviously this only has so much value, so much weight, because you don't get to see how the other person is really going to respond. But it gives you kind of an idea of how I would handle it in the future. So how do I unheave a tripod? I still don't know. I'm working on it right now, but most importantly, I know that I should at least consider ungrabbing and scoring some points. If I can put some pressure on him to scoring points against him, then I can at least force him to stop tripoding so much, because if he doesn't, I can come back in points and win. So these are the type of things you look at. Different scenarios in which you're having trouble with. Whether you win or lose, if it's a scenario you have trouble with, save the replay. because if you win, then you can dissect why you won. If you lost, you can figure out what went wrong. This is what I always do. I highly recommend it. There's only a few replays in here that are totally just for fun. Here's one of them just so you guys can have a good time. This was a Game Masters tournament. No, it was either Game Master or Rubash, I forget, but it was a tournament. I messed around with a guy, did my DQ stare. He threw me way up into the air, and I just jumped, landed on the plank, was losing by points, but still made it up in the last turn and DQ'd him, which is fun. But the point is, you shouldn't be having these stylized replays. If you really want them, put them in another folder, but you should really be focusing more on how to improve as a player so that every game is replay worthy, rather than just saving the few times where you think you're actually a really decent player and you're doing really decent plays. Finally, I want to just conclude with a little note to my viewers. There's a lot of questions about what type of output is coming out of these videos and how long it will take to see their videos and what's up next. My short-term answer to that is I'm pretty busy, but I never want to rush a video. I could have made a video yesterday, I could have made a video the day before. The point is, I never want to release a video unless I'm 100% sure that the content will be of high quality. So if that takes a week, you guys will have to wait a week. But the point is, every time you turn on ToribashTakeOver, you guys get a high quality video that any level player can learn from. Unless I otherwise specify that as a beginner only video, which I will be starting a beginner only series relatively soon just because they're so easy to manufacture and they're so easy to cover. Thanks a lot again for watching ToribashTakeOver, guys. I really appreciate it. We have been continuously getting new subscribers, which is really exciting. I hope to do a lot of collaborations with people really soon. I'm making contacts with a lot of big fish, so hopefully ToribashTakeOver can get some shout-outs. If you guys have friends that don't know about ToribashTakeOver, please try to get them involved. I will be creating incentives for all of that, as ToribashTakeOver Giveaway 2 will be starting relatively soon, and I'll announce more details about that soon. So again, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and let's make sure Toribash takes over.